I'm back for day 15 of Bookmas. Today's topic is going to be, I'm going to tell you the top 15 books I hope to read by the end of the year. So I always have, I break down my TBR into like seasons and sections and stuff. So I was much more successful last year. So I like a list. I like checking things off my list. So these are the books that right now, in the beginning of December, these 2022 releases sound the best, sound like I will definitely read them by the end of the year. Anything could change. I could DNF them. They could seem not that great when I read them. But right now, these are books that I'm really incredibly excited to read. So let's get into it. It's going to sort of be a double because I don't know if the first one is going to come out in a timely fashion. Sometimes the books I choose, their dates get pushed or they don't come out. So I'm going to have a backup one for this list in case this book comes out super late. Also with all the publishing issues, some of these dates may get moved anyway. But right now, with the release dates I have, these are the books I'm most excited for. So the first one I'm going to talk about, I have talked about in my middle grade video, and it's Alina, Girl of the Dragons by Julie Abe. Here's a photo. Have a release date, but it most likely will come out in the summer. It's also set in the same world as the Eva Evergreen series, which I have really enjoyed. I actually just read the second book in that series and it wrapped it up. But this is a loosely inspired Cinderella retelling set in the Japanese culture. So it's a Japanese Cinderella. But you basically follow this young girl and she believes her world is going to be perfect. She's eventually going to move to the court and live a very exciting life, but that is before her grandmother died, and when her grandmother dies, she is sent to court to live with an evil stepmother, and she's basically meant to act like Cinderella, basically be a servant. But she finds two people that is going to help her, a dragon and a witch, and they're going to team up to sort of save the day. It's delightful. I really like Julie Abe's writing style, and I'm really excited for this one. The next book by Julie Abe is her YA debut, and it is called The Charm List, and here's a photo. My favorite types of contemporary books is contemporary books with sort of a magic twist. Like, I wish that was my life. I wish one day I was living my life and magic would just appear, but this book sounds like it potentially has that type of premise, so I'm excited for it. But you basically follow this girl named Elle, and she lives a very, very quiet life. She doesn't live an exciting life, so she creates an anti-wallflower list that's hoping to break her out of her shell and do a couple of things. But when one thing on that list turns her summer upside down, she has to go on a trek with a boy she doesn't really like to go to a magical convention, and one of her things on her list is falling in love, and she may be doing that without realizing. I love books about road trips. I love books about a list. I really have liked Julie Abe's writing style, so I'm really excited for this one. This comes out in July. I will definitely be picking up. I say that now. I hope it's successful. Keep me honest in the comments, and I'm really excited for this one as well. Super excited about is a sequel. It's one of the Rick Riordan Presents stories, and it is the sequel to The Last Fallen Star by Gracie Kim. So this one is The Last Fallen Moon. It comes out June 7th. So here's a photo. This is probably one of my favorite Rick Riordan Presents series. I just really love the focus on Korean witches. I love the main character. The end of the first book has left our main character, Riley O, in a bit of a predicament. So I'm really curious to see how Gracie Kim fixes the problems, and just, I want to be back with the world and with those characters. She's in a very, very weird predicament at the end of book one, so I don't want to spoil too much, but if you've not checked it out and you're looking for a quick read, I would definitely check it out. It was very, very fun. If you're into mythology like me, you'll probably really enjoy it. It was Korean witches. It really focused on found family, but also like your actual family, and it focused on just a really, really fun magic system. So I will definitely be checking this out in June. Hope to read by the end of the year is The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the third book in the Inheritance Game series, and I really am excited for this one. Sadly, I have to wait until August to read it, but very excited for it. Inheritance Game, or Hawthorne Legacy, you basically follow this girl named Avery, and unknown to her and everyone in her life, a billionaire who recently passed away put her in her will and willed all his money to her. No one knows why, like, there's no reason. So she kind of has to go live with this family for a year, and there's a lot of boys around, and she has to sort of start uncovering what's happening. This family is very obsessed with mysteries and riddles and puzzles, and she starts to uncover why she was left this money. I love the inheritance game. Hawthorne Legacy turned everything on its head. The one thing I would tell you about Jennifer Lynn Barnes' writing style is I recommend, if possible, to read these books as close together as you can, because the last book is always a wild punch that you never see coming, and reading them close together will help you keep the story like in your head. But I'm very excited for this book. I love this cover. I like it's a take on The Queen's Gambit. It's just a great read. I thought I knew where book 2 was going, and then I was totally proven wrong. So I'm really excited to see where book 3 goes and see what Jennifer Lynn Barnes writes next, because she's definitely one of my favorite mystery thriller authors. She's been writing some lighter mystery thrillers recently that I've really been enjoying, but I've also loved her backlist. So a lot to check out if you've not read this author before, but definitely why she's on this list. This book is Chain of Thorns by Cassie Clare. This is book 3 in her Chain of Iron series. I am so hopeful that I will get to this by the end of the year. These books are massive, and it's coming out in November because the release date got pushed due to the pandemic and the supply chain issues. So November and December are probably my weakest reading months, and this book is massive, but I really want to read it before the end of the year, so I'm going to make it a goal. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I really would like to read this. I just know it's going to be a very, very big undertaking. So it's on this list. I hope to get to it. I'll probably make it a goal in like December to read this whole book. But yeah, so that's why I don't want to talk too much about it. It's the third book in a series. It's Shadowhunters. If you've read any of them, you sort of know that this follows Will and Tessa and that generation, their kids. And so far, I'm really liking it. I'm probably going to have to do a reread of Chain of Iron and Chain of Gold at some point this year to prep myself, but I do have a bunch of time, which is nice. Coming out in January, which means I have so many more months to read them, which is really exciting. And one is one that is coming out in early January. It is called The Bone Spindle, and it is a YA fantasy. This cover, I do have an e-arc of this one again, so it might get read a little bit quicker, but here's a photo. Hunter, a warrior, and a prince that is under a sleeping spell, and they all sort of have to work together to sort of save the day. I like that Briar Rose is a boy. I think that's like an interesting. I like it's a sleeping Sleeping Beauty retelling. That's super fun. I'm really intrigued by this, but it has a lot of elements I like. It says it's like Indiana Jones. There's adventuring. There's saving the realm. There's characters forced to work together. I think it's a little bit I think it's LGBTQ plus. So I'm really excited for this one. Sounds great. I could probably pick it up right now if I was not in the middle of a reading challenge. But yeah, this one's coming out in January. I will definitely get around to it. I've not read enough fairy tale retellings recently, and I've been missing them, so this one will be the first one on my TBR, hopefully. I haven't talked about it on any of my lists because it's not young adult, I don't think. It was pitched to me originally as young adult, but I think it's like adult, but I'm very excited for it. It comes out in January, and it is called Daughter of the Moon Goddess. This cover is just stunning. It's just such a pretty cover. Focusing on Chinese mythology, and it follows a young woman on a quest to free her mother against the most dangerous immortal in the realm. I love books about mythology, and I've been trying to read more adult fantasy. It's been a goal of mine, so I've not been that successful, but hopefully 2022 will be the year. But this book sounds perfect, and it might be right up my alley in regards to the mythology and trying to read more adult fantasy. Also coming out in January is by Emma Lord, one of my favorite contemporary authors to date, and this is called When You Get a Chance. Here is a photo. I have talked about this in my previous video. Teen who feels really unconnected from life and her family decides to go on a quest for her birth mother using her dad's 2003 live journal post to figure out which woman is her mother. And hilarity, drama, and maybe a bit of romance ensued. I really like Emma Lord's writing style. I like that it's a take on Mamma Mia. I'm really excited for this one, and hopefully I will read it in early January. If not January, then definitely February. But super excited for this one and hope that I really enjoy it. One that I'm really excited for, it's Castle in the Bones by Laura Sebastian. This is coming out in February. It is the start of a trilogy. It reminds me a lot of Three Dark Crowns, and when I tell you the summary, you'll see why. Here's a photo. Castle in Our Bones is the newest series by Laura Sebastian. It focuses on 3 triplets, and they were all taught the arts of seduction, conquest, and the crown. But when they are sent to live in 3 different places, they're forced to get married and be betrothed. They realize their mother might not be telling them the whole truth, and they have to sort of start to uncover what is happening. And it's a very, very political themed story. Laura Sebastian does that super well. Her Ash Princess series was like that. I really did like book 1. Have to make some progress more on that series, but very excited to see what this book becomes, and I think it will hopefully become a new favorite. The list is League of Liars by Astrid Chollet. Now, I have really liked both of Astrid Chollet's work. I definitely prefer The Vanishing Deep a little bit more. This one is going to be a fantasy mystery thriller. I'm intrigued by it. It comes out in late February, and here is a photo. Short, it's 4 teens who are in jail for illegally using magic, have to band together to break out of their jail cell. So that sounds, or break out of their prison. But I'm really excited for this one. I love books that are a fantasy with like a thriller twist, because I tend to enjoy them a little bit more. I have really enjoyed Astrid Chollet's writing style. This book comes out at the end of February. I do have an early copy if I get around to reading it, but very excited for this one as well. In March, the next book we're going to talk about is Love Decoded by Jennifer Yen. Here is a photo. Classic stories and give them a modern twist. So this is a modern version of Emma Woodhouse. I'm intrigued. I really did like her first one, which was A Taste of Love, which was all baking themed. This one has to do with the tech industry and apps and such. Very excited for this one and hope that I get around to reading it as soon as I can get my hands on it. That is coming out in March that I'm really excited for and is on this list is also Gallant by V.E. Schwab. Now, this is a book that I don't want to know too much going in, because I know mystery thrillers and V.E. Schwab, you should go in as blank as you can, but here is a photo. Pitches for me was Secret Garden meet Crimson Peak, and there's a force trying to take over this town from what I gathered from my brief look at the summary. Again, I really do like V.E. Schwab's writing style. I think I'm going to make V.E. Schwab my author to focus on in 2022, because I have so many books by her that I've not read, and I just would like to tackle her. So that's a thought I'm having when I make my goals. I might make V.E. Schwab one of my authors to focus on in 2022. We will see, but I'm really excited for this book as well. The other pair that I'm going to chat about that is on this list is Austin Sigmund Broca and Emily Weberly. They are a real-life couple that write YA rom-coms, and they also have a adult debut coming out called The Roughest Draft. I'll talk about that in a different video, but this is With and Without You, which is a book about long-distance relationships, which is loosely inspired by their own experience. I'm intrigued. It comes out in April. It is def on this list, and hope I get to it soon. An unexpected move puts these 2 young teens in a bit of a crossroads, but they decide to keep their relationship going. The female character decides, this will probably be the day that my relationship fizzles out. We're going away to college anyway, but little does she know, the long distance may make the heart grow fonder, which she was not expecting. Really excited for this one. I'm going to chat about on this list. It is called It's All in How You Fall by Sarah Henning. This is gymnastics themes, YA contemporary, that comes out in May. Definitely high on my list, and I am really intrigued by the summary as well, but here is a photo. So this story follows a main character, and she's dealing with a lot of back pain. She knows she's never going to be an elite gymnast, she's never going to go to the Olympics, but her whole goal is to stick around long enough so she can do college gymnastics and get a scholarship. However, a career-ending injury puts everything at risk, and she sort of feels a little bit lost. But she winds up teaming up with this young man, and he's going to sort of teach her about other sports. And every single time she learns a new sport, she has to matchmake him, tell him who he's going to go out on a date with, pick the perfect girl for him. And things don't go exactly according to plan when she starts catching feelings for this young man. And I just think that sounds delightful. You never know what's going to happen when your life plan changes so dramatically, and I think that this is a good book for kids to see. Even though everything you planned is not going to happen, you can still have a path going forward. So I really like this and hope I will pick it out in early May. hopefully. And then the last book I'm going to chat about on this video is Forgery of Rose by Jessica Olsen, and here is a photo. Can paint anything, and when she paints it, you are imbued with these characteristics. When a young widow or when a young woman finds out about this, she tries to convince this young girl to paint her son back to life. But when this young girl goes to this mansion in, you know, the high, it's, oh my goodness, like the people are very, very powerful and they have a lot of money. She realizes that this young boy's death may not have been an accident. She sort of teams up with his still alive brother to sort of uncover what is really happening. I love books about political intrigue and drama. I love books where they have to sort of force to work together. I like books about magic, so this one's, again, is high on my TBR, and it comes out in March, which means I don't have to wait too long. These are the 2022 books that, as of right now, when I'm filming this video in early December, are the books that I'm super excited to read. We will see at the end of 2022 if I have read them all and my thoughts, but so far, these are the ones that I'm dying to read. So, let me know in the comments what are some 2022 books you are dying to read, and hopefully we'll read by the end of the year, and I'll talk to you for my next video. Bye, friends.